Welcome back to Cinema Screen. Today, we're stepping into the action-packed, suspense-filled jungle of the 1987 sci-fi classic, Predator. An elite military rescue team on a mission deep in the Central American rainforest, only to realize they're being hunted by something far beyond human. It's a battle for survival against a deadly alien predator with advanced weaponry and an unrelenting thirst for the hunt. Get ready for an intense, edge-of-your-seat story where the hunter becomes the hunted. Spoilers ahead. Proceed with caution as we dive into this legendary thriller together. The movie begins with a scene of an alien mothership traveling near Earth, releasing a small pod toward the planet. Following this, the story transitions to a U.S. Army camp, where a helicopter arrives carrying Dutch, a highly skilled soldier who used to work with the military but now operates as an independent contractor, along with his team. Upon arrival, Dutch meets with the camp's general, who explains that a group of individuals, including a cabinet minister, has gone missing along with their helicopter. The general shows Dutch a map indicating the location where the helicopter disappeared. Curious, Dutch questions why the cabinet minister was traveling beyond the national border. The general suggests it might have been a mistake and reveals that they believe the group has already fallen into the hands of guerrillas. Dutch then asks why the military isn't handling the mission themselves and why his team has been called instead. At this point, Dylan, a former friend of Dutch and now a CIA operative, steps in, explaining they needed the best of the best to rescue the cabinet minister. Dylan and Dutch share a brief moment of camaraderie before Dylan informs Dutch that this is a one-day operation, rescue the hostages and cross the border before anyone notices. Although initially reluctant when he learns that Dylan will also be part of the mission, Dutch agrees due to the circumstances. The team prepares for the mission and departs via helicopter to the designated area beyond the border. After landing, they begin trekking through the jungle and come across a helicopter wrecked atop a tree. Upon investigating, Poncho informs Dutch that the pilots were executed with gunshots to the head and points out that the helicopter is not a standard Army aircraft. Meanwhile, Billy, who had been tracking footprints, tells Dutch he found signs of 6 individuals wearing U.S. Army boots. Suspicious, Dutch confronts Dylan, asking if he knows anything about this. Dylan dismisses the concern, suggesting it might be another group of guerrillas. As the team continues tracking footprints through the jungle, they come across the gruesome sight of 3 U.S. Army soldiers' mutilated bodies, stripped of flesh, skinned, and hanging upside down by their legs. Shocked by the brutality, Dutch confronts Dylan, asking if another operation is taking place in the area. Dylan denies knowing anything about it. Convinced that the guerrilla group is responsible, the team presses on, following the trail leading to the hostages. While advancing deeper into the jungle along the guerrillas' trail, someone unseen watches them from above, perched in a tree. The observer, however, is not using normal vision, but is instead detecting heat signals from the team. The team eventually reaches the guerrilla camp. Observing from a distance, Dutch sees a guerrilla soldier execute one of the hostages and shoot. Enraged, Dutch and his team launch a fierce assault on the camp, killing every member of the guerrilla group in a brutal firefight. However, Dutch spares the life of a female guerrilla who tries to attack him, taking her prisoner instead. At this point, Dutch realizes the story about rescuing a cabinet minister was a lie. Angry, he confronts Dylan, demanding an explanation for why they were misled. Dutch reminds Dylan that he never agreed to missions that would endanger his team unnecessarily. Dylan admits that the group from the crashed helicopter were his men, and another team sent to find them also went missing. That's why Dutch and his team were called in. Dylan also justifies the mission by saying that eliminating the guerrilla group, who were planning to cross the border within 3 days, was a beneficial outcome. As the team prepares to leave the camp, Dutch brings the captured female guerrilla with them. Before departing, Max spots a scorpion on Dylan's shoulder and kills it. The team then moves out of the camp. Unbeknownst to them, the unseen predator that had been watching them descends from the trees after they leave. It picks up the dead scorpion and examines it closely. While trekking toward the border, the captured guerrilla woman tries to escape, attempting to flee from Dylan. However, Poncho quickly intercepts her and prevents her from getting away. As the team continues moving forward, Billy, the tracker, senses something unusual ahead, among the trees. He stops and stares intently at the area, not making a move. Seeing this, Dutch orders the team to halt and approaches Billy to ask what's wrong. Billy tells him there's something out there that they can't see. What the team doesn't realize is that an unseen predator is observing them. While they cannot see it, the creature can see them clearly through heat signatures. Meanwhile, Dylan hands over the captured female gorilla to Poncho and heads over to Mac to check if something is wrong. As the team's attention remains focused on Billy and Dutch, the captive gorilla suddenly strikes Poncho and makes a run for it. Everyone's attention shifts to her as they attempt to stop her escape. At the same time, the predator, who had been watching from the trees, also focuses on her and begins to pursue her silently. As the woman runs, Hawkins catches up to her and grabs her. But before he can secure her, a shadowy figure emerges seemingly out of nowhere and strikes Hawkins down, killing him instantly. The predator then drags Hawkins' body away. A few moments later, Poncho arrives at the scene and finds blood splattered all over the gorilla woman and the area around her. Following the blood trail, Poncho discovers Hawkins' bag and what appears to be pieces of his flesh scattered nearby. When Dutch joins him, Poncho shows him the grisly scene, and Dutch orders Poncho to question the captive about what happened. Terrified by what she witnessed, the woman tells Poncho that the jungle came alive and killed Hawkins before dragging him away. Hearing this, Dutch and the team spread out to search for Hawkins' body. Despite their efforts, they fail to find it, as it has been strung up high in the trees. While searching, Blaine hears a sound coming from within the jungle. Turning his attention to it, he sees it's just a small animal and relaxes. But as he turns to leave, the predator strikes from behind, shooting Blaine with a plasma blast and killing him instantly. Mac, hearing the attack, rushes to Blaine's location and sees the predator for the first time, its glowing yellow eyes staring back at him from the shadows. Overcome with rage, Mac opens fire on the creature, but it flees into the jungle. However, green blood dripping onto a nearby tree, evidence that he managed to wound it. Hearing Mac's gunfire, the rest of the team rushes to his position. Together, they aim their weapons in the direction the predator fled, continuing to fire until they exhaust their ammunition. After the gunfire ceases, Dutch asks Mac why he opened fire and what he saw. Mac explains that he saw something like a shadow with glowing eyes, which is why he started shooting. Dutch then sends Poncho and Billy to investigate the direction where Mac fired. Upon returning, they report to Dutch that there's nothing there. No blood, no bodies, not even footprints. However, as the team prepares to leave the area with Blaine's body, the captured gorilla woman notices a strange green fluid smeared on a tree. She examines it briefly before they continue onward. The group moves to a safer location, where Dylan attempts to contact their base via radio. Meanwhile, Mac sets up traps and creates a defensive perimeter to protect the team. Elsewhere, the shadowy predator, now bleeding, climbs onto a branch and presses a button on its hand, making itself visible for the first time. It's revealed to be a technologically advanced alien. Wounded by the gunfire, the creature removes a bullet lodged in its leg and treats itself using advanced medical tools. The excruciating pain causes the predator to let out a loud roar, echoing throughout the jungle and catching the attention of Dutch and his team. After establishing contact with their base, Dylan requests extraction and military assistance. However, the request is denied as their location is deemed a dangerous zone. The base instructs them to reach a designated location where air support can assist them. The team spends the night at their current location. At one point, one of Mac's traps is triggered. Believing it to be the shadowy creature, the team rushes to the site, only to find that it was just a wild boar. When they return to the camp, they find the gorilla woman still there, visibly terrified. However, they also realize that Blaine's body is now missing. By morning, the team is unable to find any trace of Blaine's body or the creature who took it. Dutch begins to suspect that their enemy is moving through the trees. He confronts the gorilla woman again, asking her about what happened yesterday. She reveals that the creature that killed Hawkins and Blaine can change its appearance, blending into the jungle like a lizard. She also mentions seeing green blood on a tree where Mac had shot it. Dutch deduces that if the creature can bleed, then it can be killed. Before the group departs, Dutch asks the gorilla woman her name. She introduces herself as Anna. After regrouping, everyone sets up traps both in the trees and on the ground to capture the alien creature. While the team waits in hiding, Dylan asks Dutch how he is so confident the creature will come through this area. Dutch responds, saying that within a 50-yard radius, every tree is rigged with traps, leaving the creature no other path. Despite their efforts, nothing happens for a long time. Deciding to take action, Dutch carefully steps out of his hiding spot, armed and alert, moving cautiously to avoid triggering any traps. As he investigates, the creature unexpectedly triggers one of the traps directly behind Dutch. It gets caught and is flung upwards. Struggling to escape, the creature fires its plasma cannon at the tree branch holding the trap, causing it to break. The falling branch strikes Poncho, throwing him to the ground and injuring him. The creature, now free, briefly reveals itself, allowing the team to see it clearly. Mac, filled with rage over the loss of his best friend Blaine, charges after the creature, firing his weapon in pursuit. Dutch, realizing the danger, tells the others to take the injured Poncho and head towards the chopper. He then prepares to follow Mac. However, Dylan insists, saying, "I'll find Mac and help him." Dutch agrees and sets off with Anna, Billy, and Poncho to reach the extraction point. Meanwhile, Dylan tracks Mac, eventually hearing him softly calling out to stay quiet. When Dylan catches up, Mac grabs him and covers his mouth, pointing to the creature perched in a tree. Dylan sees the creature and devises a plan to kill it. The two of them begin moving stealthily toward the creature's location. As they advance, Mac suddenly halts, noticing a strange red laser marking 3 dots on his hand. Realizing it's targeting him, Mac looks up just as the laser shifts to his head. A plasma shot from the creature hits him directly in the head, killing him instantly. Meanwhile, Dutch and the others press on towards the chopper. As they move, Poncho's gun falls to the ground. When Anna bends down to pick it up, Dutch quickly stops her, warning her not to touch it. He explains that the creature didn't kill her earlier because she wasn't armed. Meanwhile, Dylan follows the plan and reaches the designated spot. However, noticing that Mac hasn't arrived yet, he searches the area and finds Mac's lifeless body. Just then, the alien emits a strange sound, prompting Dylan to check the surrounding trees. Spotting the creature, he prepares to shoot, but it swiftly closes the distance and kills Dylan. Dylan's dying scream echoes through the forest, reaching Dutch and the others as they cross a river beneath a fallen tree. Realizing Dylan has likely perished, Dutch, Anna, and Poncho continue their journey, but Billy decides to stay behind, armed with a knife, to face the creature. Not long after, the creature confronts Billy at his position and kills him as well. Billy's scream carries through the forest, stopping Dutch, Anna, and Poncho in their tracks. As they wait, the creature suddenly attacks from a treetop, firing a plasma shot that kills Poncho. Dutch retaliates with gunfire, but the creature counters with another plasma shot, hitting Dutch and knocking him to the ground. Injured but determined, Dutch orders Anna to run to the chopper and escape. Despite his injuries, he pushes himself to his feet and flees into the jungle, with the creature chasing close behind. As Dutch runs, he stumbles upon a waterfall and leaps into the river below. After surfacing, he manages to crawl onto the riverbank, exhausted and vulnerable. Moments later, the creature emerges from the water, pursuing Dutch. Desperate, Dutch crawls into the muddy terrain, unknowingly covering his entire body with mud while seeking a hiding spot. Finding no shelter, he hides near the roots of a large tree. The creature, now fully visible in its natural form, scans the area but fails to detect Dutch, who remains hidden thanks to the mud camouflaging his heat signature. Unable to locate him, the creature leaves the area. It is then that Dutch realizes the creature's weakness. It relies on heat vision and couldn't see him because of the mud. Recognizing this, Dutch resolves to use this newfound advantage to avenge his fallen comrades. He begins preparing for a final confrontation, setting up traps and crafting weapons like spears and arrows from the materials around him. By the time he finishes his preparations, night has fallen. Smearing mud all over his body once again to remain invisible, Dutch lets out a primal scream, signaling to the creature. He also lights a large fire nearby to draw the creature's attention to his location. Dutch, now ready for the ultimate battle, waits silently in the shadows for the alien to approach. At this point, the alien, who has been collecting the skulls of its victims, hears Dutch's scream and begins heading in his direction. Dutch waits silently, hidden atop a tree, waiting as the creature approaches. When the alien passes directly his hiding spot, Dutch quietly moves to another tree to avoid being detected. The creature cannot see him due to the mud covering his body, masking his heat signature. When the alien reaches the fire Dutch lit earlier, its shadow becomes visible in the firelight, giving Dutch a clear shot. Using one of his weapons, Dutch attacks the creature. Confused about the source of the attack, the alien fires its plasma gun wildly across the jungle, trying to locate Dutch. During this attack, the alien's suit is damaged, rendering its invisible ability useless. Seizing the opportunity, Dutch relentlessly attacks the creature, injuring it. Bleeding green, the alien retreats into a cave. Following the trail, Dutch enters the cave, only to realize the creature is actually perched on top of it. Just as Dutch notices, the alien attacks, but Dutch manages to light an explosive and jumps into a nearby body of water. The explosion throws Dutch into the water, washing away the mud on his body. Emerging from the water, Dutch is now fully visible to the alien, which immediately captures him. As the creature examines Dutch, it realizes that he is a strong and worthy opponent. The alien decides to fight Dutch hand to hand, removing its helmet to reveal its face. Seeing the alien's horrifying appearance, Dutch is momentarily frozen with fear. The two engage in a brutal hand-to-hand combat, during which Dutch is severely beaten. Exhausted and battered, Dutch crawls toward a trap he had set earlier. He lures the creature into the area, waiting for it to step into the trap. However, the alien notices the trap and avoids it, attempting to circle around and capture Dutch. In response, Dutch activates a secondary trap, releasing a heavy log that crashes onto the alien, fatally wounding it. As the creature lies dying, Dutch picks up a rock to finish it off, but notices the alien is already nearing death. At that moment, the creature activates a device on its arm, initiating a countdown. Realizing it's a bomb, Dutch quickly flees the area before a massive explosion erupts. The explosion is visible to the helicopter crew arriving to rescue Dutch and his team. Moments later, the helicopter lands and Dutch is pulled aboard. Inside, he sees Anna, who has also been rescued. As the helicopter flies away, leaving the jungle behind, marking the end of this legendary 1987 action-packed movie. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments, like the video, and share it with friends. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more recaps. See you in the next recap. Goodbye.